First things first, Jack, how are you?
I'm good, man. It's here, happy to be here, yeah.
Okay. What I want to start with is you're opening the Riff in Baltimore.
Oh, in LA.
Oh, is it in LA?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was, okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah, what was the reasoning behind it? Why did you want to open it?
So, I have a bar called the Rockwell in Baltimore, and it's just kind of, a unique spot where early 2000s rock kids, people who grew up on MTV and TRL, can kind of go and listen to the music that they listen to when were teenagers and they're younger. And we kind of wanted to do the same thing in LA because there's no bars like that.
Sure.
A lot of the clubs and bars in LA are very, hip hop and pop kind of driven. And so we wanted a spot in LA where musicians, fans of music can just go and listen to good rock.
Have you, because you already have a bar in Baltimore, have you heard good reactions of that to that place, that there is a spot now for rockers?
For sure. And and once we opened the bar, we noticed that there's a big kind of group of people who want a spot like that, who want a place to kind of like go and not be judged and do their thing and let loose without having to worry about,
Is that a difficult thing in LA?
We're about to find out. we don't. It opens on my birthday. My birthday weekend this weekend coming up, and the 17th of June. But I know that when I first moved to LA, there was a bar called Angels and Kings that Pete Wentz owned, and me and our singer Alex were investors in that bar, and it was an amazing culture back then. It was just a really cool spot for whether you're a kid in the scene or just a fan of rock or even like hip hop, really, is anything. It was just kind of a cool place to hang out and meet people that are similar to you. So I'm hoping it'll be like that kind of vibe.
Okay. And then, you say that most spots were more hip hop orientated, and you wanted the spot kind of for more like-minded people. How do you think about the musical landscape then, so to say, and where rock and what you do is positioned?
Yeah, I do think that it's taken a while, but rock's making a comeback. I think with bands like Blink-182 and Green Day and Foo Fighters kind of leading the charge, it's cool to see, musicians are back on the radio. You have 1975, 5 Seconds of Summer, Coldplay is still making good tunes. And I feel like all those bands, being on mainstream radio really help kind of the younger guys like us, kind of pave the way for us to still keep doing what we do.
And then you mentioned a couple of bands, Blink-182 amongst others. They were obviously a big inspiration. So if we go back to that time, how did you experience music when you first discovered those bands?
Man, I was really young when I discovered Blink. I discovered them from watching them on TRL and on TV. And, back then I was only 10 or 11 years old. So for me, I wasn't really going to shows. It was more just kind of playing their music on my guitar in my room. And that was kind of my connection to bands like Blink and Green Day and AFI and that kind of stuff. My first concert I did go to was Blink and Green Day though, and that kind of changed my life. And that was the moment when I was like, this is what I want to do.
So were you in bands before that?
I was in bands, kind of, like mostly just cover bands.
Sure.
And by the time, we started this, me and Alex started this band, it was 8th grade.
Okay.
We were 13. So at that point, we got Ryan, we got Zach, and at that point we're 14 years old, and that's the band.
And even when your debut record was released, you were still quite, maybe I think 18 years old or so.
Yeah, we released an EP and a full length in high school. And yeah, we were 16 when the EP came out, 17 when the full length came out on a local record label. And yeah, we were still in high school, still going to school, still being driven to shows by our parents. So it's been a long journey.
What was it like back then to be so young and going through all of that?
It was weird, I think one of my biggest memories about it was going to school the next morning smelling like cigarettes and like having my ears ringing. Because we would play all these shows at local clubs opening up for touring acts.
Sure.
And, our parents would drive us and help us bring in our gear, and, we'd get weird looks from the touring acts. And so that was one of my memories from that. And also, having to go back to class the next day was always miserable, because we wouldn't get home till late. We'd stay, watch the headliners, and then you don't get much sleep because your ears are ringing, and then you wake up, go to class at 6 or 7 a.m. and reeking of cigarette smoke, and you're just like, wow, like what a buzz, what a feeling.
As a rock band, isn't it important to go through a period like that where you kind of pay your dues?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I don't necessarily think it's the way it is anymore. I don't think it's as common anymore. You know, you can make a YouTube page now and get signed overnight.
Sure.
It's a lot, I'd say, easier to get found than it used to be. But I do think it's important. It's kind of an integral part of why our band has been together for so long. You know, we went through all those hard times, and I'm not gonna say hard times, but you know, we went through the not as glamorous times, and I feel like that's why we're so strong today.
And well, today then, is your approach different than in those initial years? Obviously, there has been some success. So
yeah, I think it changes when you actually have fans. You know, back then we didn't have fans. We just kind of did whatever we wanted and hope that people like it. But now, you know, you always want to appease the fans. You want to appease yourself and write music you love, but you also have them to think about. And you know, there's some bands that don't think like that. They just do whatever they want to do, which is fine. But for us, you know, we always kind of keep the fan base in mind.
And part of this is the Missing You video. I think you kind of involved the fans as well. So how important is that connection?
Oh, it's really important, and I think it's what separates us from the bands that we came up with that have kind of fallen off the map. You know, I think the one thing that kind of kept us around longer than any of these other bands is the Hustlers, our fan base.
What is the best reaction to your music that you've ever heard from a fan? Or one that sticks out?
I remember when Nothing Personal first came out, when Weightless came out. It was so funny because Weightless came out and people online were like, oh no, what happened? Like, they sold out. There's like keyboard parts, there's digital, and I was like, oh no, did we blow it? Like, are we gonna lose everything? And then, you know, 6 months later, it's somehow a classic for us. But I did think it's funny. You know, it's always funny to see people's first reactions to our music, and then what they think like 2 weeks later when they actually when it sinks in.
And like you said, do you now then take into account the audience when you start writing?
No, definitely.
Okay.
And I think that's one thing that separates us and kind of keeps us, has been one of the reasons why we've been together for so long and been successful for so long, is because, you know, like I said, it's about us and what we want to do, but also we keep them in mind. And that's why I think that they keep coming back, because they know that. And
Future Hearts was released a little while ago, so are you now already starting to write new material and looking towards?
Yeah, you know, Alex starts writing, you know, every time we have off. Anytime we aren't touring, Alex is writing. And we're not really the kind of band that takes too long between albums, but this one will take a little longer than usual, I think, to kind of...
Why?
Why what?
Why will it take a little bit longer?
I just think, you know, we've been touring so much that I think it's good to kind of step away from the spotlight for a second and kind of, you know, live our lives. Alex got married, Ryan's, you know, doing his thing in Nashville. I think it's important for us at this age to have some kind of space. But, you know, I think we'll be back. We don't really take massive breaks, so we'll be back sooner than later.
Yeah, you tour quite heavily, so how do you keep the drive or the energy to keep going?
I think these days, you know, well, obviously we're really close on tour. We all get along really well, which makes it a lot easier. But, you know, these days we have, you know, a month at home where we can like unwind, and that's just enough time to kind of get re-energized and get ready to go back.
What do you do on that month off? Do you do anything
it's so
with music?
Boring. We don't do much. Alex will write. Ryan will help produce bands. I'll hit the local bars. Zach will surf. But it's just really kind of like trying to live a normal life, you know, not touring life.
Sure.
Not like a dressing room situation, you know, like hang out your house, go hiking, whatever you do, just kind of things that you wouldn't normally get to do on the road.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.